Let's talk about what's been happening lately with Goldensound and the headphone show and DCS. Not specifically about that so much as the topic of the reviewers, the independent reviewers being kind of gagged by threats and legal action, etc. from manufacturers and retailers and distributors. First of all, I wanted to say I'm really pleased to see that the DCS and Cameron/Goldensound situation has resolved itself, or appears to be resolving itself. That's great. It's probably unlikely, but Cameron, if you happen to see this video, I hope you're okay. I hope the whole situation hasn't taken too much of a toll on you. I know that sort of thing can be really hard. But what I really wanted to talk about in this video was the fact that, sadly, what was going on with this one employee, it seems, at DCS and with Cameron does go on too often in this hobby and in this industry. And I don't want to make this a negative naming and shaming thing. I've actually got more of a positive point to make here. But one thing I did want to call out was that I think it's fantastic when these issues can be brought to light, when we as a community can hear which companies are not dealing well with reviewers and with the community, and then of course vice versa, when they are dealing well with the community, we want to hear that too. But also what can happen sometimes, and this is a really tough one, is that there are some kind of quiet ways that manufacturers can influence the reviews they may or may not be getting. I've been on the end of this twice now, where in my situations I had retailers lend me equipment. So the people that have sometimes imported the product, sometimes they just get the product from a distributor and then they on-sell it, where they have been threatened by the manufacturers for giving me, as a reviewer, giving me a product that I have then reviewed, handed back, whatever's been the case. Actually, in both cases, yes, it was a return, it was a loan. And because I've had negative things to say about the product, the manufacturer has then threatened the distributor/retailer, saying that if they were to give me another product of theirs in the future, they will no longer be able to distribute and sell that particular product or range of products. And that's really tricky, because it puts me in a position as a reviewer where I can't really call out those brands that have done that, because if I do, it's actually putting the livelihood of the retailer at risk, and that's not fair for me to do that. It's not my right to do that to them. It does, of course, change my opinion of the brand, and that will factor into how I feel about their products, and how much leniency I may give them and leeway I might give them on decisions that I don't agree with in the products. But ultimately, I can't call out and say brand X did this, because that could impact the retailer, and I don't think it's my place to do that. The reason I raise this is because I think it's important to know that unfortunately that stuff does still go on, and I think the more these things can be brought to light in a way that doesn't damage any middleman or woman, I think that's actually ideal, because it helps us as consumers to choose to work with brands and to support brands that are doing the right thing by the community. And I particularly loved in Cameron's video on the headphone show that he raised examples, great examples of brands who have taken negative feedback and they've made improvements to their product. They've received it well and improved as a result. And I think they're the companies that are so exciting to work with, because you know that whatever you get has heart and soul in it. It's got people that actually want to produce the best possible products for the community, and that each product that they produce will be building on the successes and the failures of the previous ones. And so I said at the beginning of this video that I wanted to share something positive, and the positive that I wanted to share is a couple of examples that I've had of brands that have been fantastic at receiving negative feedback and improving as a result. And so I wanted to give props to Burson Audio. Burson Audio have been fantastic all the way back to when I reviewed the Burson Solidus 3XP. They took my thoughts about the interface of the volume dial and they made changes. There was something else that we talked about down the track with their designs, and again they made changes. And not in terms of editing a review and getting me to change what I said, but hearing me say, here's what I don't like, and going, cool, no problems, we understand, we'll fix it for next time, or we'll make a change in the production line, and versions after this one, this serial number will have that new change. And that's great. That's helping us all get better products. Another brand that I wanted to call out is Atos. I get a lot of products through from Atos for review. They're all different brands, whether it's X-Duo, FIO, SMSL, Topping. The great thing, and the reason I really enjoy dealing with the team at Atos, is that they are completely open to whatever I say about a product. I have absolutely torn to pieces stuff they've sent me, and they've never batted an eyelid, and they continue sending products to review, because like you and me, what they care about is serving the community with better audio products. And that to me is really important, and it's why I continue my association with Atos. It's why I've recently decided to obviously import and sell their tubes and their headphone cables here in Australia. For those that haven't seen that video, I'm not touching any of the main core products. Like, when I say main core products, I'm not touching DACs, headphone amps, any of the what I would call the component products. It's only for the accessories, because there's no other way to get them here in Australia. But if you're talking topping, SMSL, that stuff that I won't touch, because again, coming back to what I said before, my independence is so important to me as a reviewer. So yeah, that's my sort of slightly rambling thoughts on it all. Is I think we as a community need to understand that reviewers cannot always call out the companies that are doing this stuff as much as we would love to. But what we can call out, and what I would encourage all of us in the community call out, are those brands that receive feedback well. They act on that feedback. I know Fozzy Audio are another example where they've acted on community feedback rather than getting grumpy and cranky and defensive. I think that's just absolutely brilliant. So props to those companies. If you're thinking about a purchase in the near future, try and find one of those companies, whether it's the ones that Cameron mentioned, the ones that I've mentioned. Ask around, see which companies are the best to deal with, and if you can, support those because they deserve it. That's all I've got for this one. So as always, happy listening, be kind to each other, and I will see you here next time on Passion for Sound.